The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Today, our guest is Alesa from the band 9 Layers Deep out of Buffalo, New York. If you are a frequent listener of this podcast, then you know that name back from the March turntable where Chris had brought them to as his local pick, and Jeff and I discussed it because Chris was out for that episode. This was a great conversation. We talk about the band, their sound, the lyrical content, and where it comes from. We get a little deep. And I appreciate Alesa for doing that with us. Stick around to the end of the episode to hear a song off of their latest EP, Bummer Nation. This is episode 339 of the Struggling Artist Podcast, Struggling with 9 Layers Deep. I discovered you guys recently because of my buddy Chris out in Buffalo, who hosts a podcast called 716 The Sound. And we do a monthly round table where we kind of bring music locally, and then like an X Factor that gets crazy sometimes. And he actually couldn't do he was I don't know, was he sick? He was sick, I think, the episode that we did when we talked about 9 Layers Deep. So like we never even got like what his take was, but he loved it. Obviously, he brought it here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if have you talked with Chris at all? He's been talking to a ton of musicians out there.
I don't know if I have actually.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Chris Chavez.
I'm gonna feel really bad if I have met him. But I don't know if I have.
I know. I know if at the very least, if you guys haven't spoken, you're probably on his list as well. I had to so I had a house show here, and he came out for that, and I was like, hey, I got some bad news for you, and he's like, what? And I'm like, I stole 9 Layers Deep from you. I said I'm gonna be talking to them. Yeah. So he was pumped though. Because like I like it when his podcast, like he is very much like Western New York, like that's all he talks to, you know. So and like he's been a producer of my show for a couple years now, so he knows like we do different kinds of interviews, you know. So it's this is more conversational than anything, but yeah. So I discovered you because of that roundtable episode. So much music, I've learned so much Buffalo music. Like from when he and I first started, we would just text each other like bands from our areas, you know. And then I was like, we should do this as a podcast. And then it would just kind of grew from there. I tell you, when I first heard 9 Layers Deep, like I am blown away because there's this doom metal meets like hardcore to it. And like because your vocal range, you know, like when the contrast is crazy. Like when you scream, it almost some of the songs, it sounds like the drums start speeding up like it would in a hardcore song. And like, I think that's, to me, like having something that separates you from the rest is a good thing. And that definitely does it. Like, is that something like, is that just how it goes? Is that just how organically it became a thing? Or are you guys trying to pull all these like different kind of sounds in?
No, I mean, for us, it's just like whatever comes out. And it's interesting because it's like, wow, I never really, like, I wasn't in any hardcore bands or anything like that. A lot of like hardcore and like sludge from the 90s, very similar. And like for me, it's more like I really love Acid Bath, and he's just like screaming like bloody murder, you know. And it's like a lot of that like 90s, I guess early, like that it was kind of doom, kind of sludge stuff did sound more hardcore. And then there is like the actual like traditional hardcore, which like our lead guitarist Jim, he was in a bunch of hardcore bands like all his life, and so there's definitely influence pulling from there. Our drummer Dan, he was in hardcore bands and like can listen to it. So it's like when we all kind of sync up together, it becomes like we know that we want it to sound heavy, and we know that we want it to sound, you know, big. And then the rest is just kind of like how we get there. And it's sometimes it's really grungy. Sometimes it sounds like straight black metal. Sometimes it'll sound more like traditional doom. But yeah, the hardcore thing does come up quite a bit, and it's just funny because like I'm not a hardcore vocalist, but yeah.
Well, that's it. Like, so like, I mean, Bummer Nation, like that first song, like it almost, I'm like, what is, like, cause you definitely have this like doom, like intro to it. Right. And then as soon as you scream, like the first part of the lyrics, I'm like, what exactly is this? Like, you know what I mean? Cause it's so good. And like, and it's so clear too. Like it hits like the vibe you guys are giving, and like this like frustration in the music is like, and I don't think, when I think of like metal bands, I feel like to me, I don't really ever get, like, I get a vibe, but not like this. This is more like, this vibe is super frustration, right? And like, and I totally dig that. I mean, I write very similar things, like not music, but you know, just like in my writing, it's very frustration. It's very frustrated, and it's very driven in a certain direction. And like, so I mean, I'm like, God damn, it is a bummer. This shit is a bummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, what's interesting about that in particular was like, I knew that we were going to release it in November. It wasn't necessarily like, we just wanted to release it as soon as we could in November. And we picked the Friday after the election. We obviously wrote the song before we knew the results of the election. And it was like, it was more about like the election cycle and how it was just like bearing down on all of us, like having to choose these options and just always feeling like nobody has your best interest in heart. And like, it just sucked because it's like, I don't want to feel physically ill every time I go to the voting booth. I don't want to feel like I have a gun to my head. I don't want to feel like it's like choose the lesser of two evils, even though the lesser supports something you totally hate. Like it sucks, you know, and that was more of the vibe for that. And then it came out and people were like, yeah, this is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Good for you.
Yeah. Now, is there a lot of like, I guess I'm not too well versed in, I used to be like just a metal guy back when I had hair, long hair. And but like, I mean, is metal like typically political like this, or is that just something that's just coming from you, like who you are?
It's just me.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are bands, I can't think of them off the top of my head, Well, I mean, like, other than, like, I mean, Sun Ra is a band that I listen to a lot, and they're, like, sludge metal band, and they're pretty political. And I don't know. I mean, like, I would say that anytime that you are present in a counterculture, you are, like, representing something. And I don't want to speak for all bands, because that's not what all bands' image is. That's not what it is. But it's like, when you're a counterculture type of presence, you know, like whether it's like metal or punk, sludge, hardcore, what have you, like, you're already kind of going against the status quo. So that in itself is political. But like, I wouldn't necessarily say that most metal bands are or aren't. It's just, they're just out there trying to like make their music and get heard, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, just putting their art out there. Yeah. So I guess the older I've gotten, I do float towards more like the political driven stuff, because like I I've been on Earth a long time, and like and like it sucks. You know what I mean? Like it sucks, and like I was like, I'm 43. I'm 43. And like I feel like my generation, like I'm like the last Gen Xer / the new, like the first of the millennials, you know what I mean? And like we kind of just floated through this space and was just like, this shit sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it. So when I started getting older, I'm like, man, I wish I did something about it.
Right?
You know, I mean, I wasn't like complacent, you know what I mean? I always voiced my opinion, but I just didn't know how to go about it, you know what I mean? And like,
right.
And I think one of the big things my takeaway in like when COVID and the lockdown thing happened was like a lot of younger folks were like, we're not going to stand for like this low pay to go out there and risk it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You shouldn't, because like we were brought up, my age group was brought up to be like, you know, if you went through a struggle, the next people should too. And I'm like, and I agreed with that for a long time. I'm like, wait, why? Yeah. Why does someone else have to struggle because I did? Like, I don't.
And
I
why
wouldn't.
Should anyone struggle? I mean, like.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
enough,
so there's enough to go around, so everybody should have some, right? Like,
yeah. So I was like, so like, especially during that time is when I really started like going like, no, this isn't how it should be. Like, you know what I mean? Like these guys, they're right. Like they, you know, don't go work for $10 an hour. Like just because I did that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe, $10 got you a little bit further, but I was on that cusp. Like I remember when $15 an hour was a good job, and it wasn't too far after that. Like it was by the time I got to it, it wasn't, you know what I mean? I'm like, shit, what happened? Yeah. You know, I thought I made it, you know?
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So I feel like there's like, but there are people in my bracket, I guess, my age bracket, who did go out and do that. But like, I know a lot of, we just didn't. So like now I'm like, I like that stuff more. And like, I do that stuff more, you know, with my writing and everything else too. So, but yeah, so I just like, so thinking to me, like when I think about like metal bands and you know, I'm like, everything was metal, like, you know what I mean? There was no, I didn't really understand the subgenres. If it was heavy, I wanted to hear it, you know? But like, as I got old, like, I know like doom metal's a little more like, I don't know. I guess it's like, they say it's like kind of like slower, like, and heavier. And to me, like I said, it's all just metal, or rock and roll. But like, I hear things like, like with you guys, I hear all these different sounds from, I'm like, yeah, like I can hear like that little, I can hear like the, like the doomy stuff and the sludgy at times, the hardcore's there, definitely some grunge in there. And then like, even like some psychedelic metal stuff, especially when you sing more melodic, like I'm like, it blows me away. Like, do you do like vocal warm-ups? Cause you contrast your voice so much in a song.
I don't do them as often or as much as I probably should, but I do warm-ups for sure. Like I will tattle on myself that I'm a bad like practice, you know, person, but I like to do. I actually bought the Zenith Screaming like years ago. It was a DVD. by this, I'm sure, like, you know, people in the metal community might know it, but I think her name was Marsha Cross, and she's like a vocal instructor, and she's like most notably instructed Chris Cornell, but has like so many clients that are up on a bigger stage, like under her belt. And she really like teaches you how to like scream without hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something that I for sure struggled with for a long time, because instead of, you know, coming from down in your diaphragm, like down in like the center of like yourself, I was like pulling from the back of my throat, and that can cause a lot of damage like up here if you're not careful. So it definitely comes from, it's all going to come from down within, no matter what you're doing, you know?
Yeah. Cause it's, I don't know. It's just like, it's just awesome. I love, like, so I went back the other day and I started going back through like your Bandcamp and everything. And I was super impressed. And there was stuff that was definitely like what made me like be like, oh, this is definitely less hardcore. You know what I mean? But like it's definitely like all tied in. And so when did the band start? Because I see you had 3 releases last year, right?
We did have 3 releases last year. The band itself, like, we're in our like 10th or 11th year.
Wow. Okay.
And it was just me at first, and like there was another drummer who's not in the fold anymore, but it was a 2-piece, and I just like went out and like we were just basically just trying to do doomy, sludgy things. And then eventually Jimmy, who is on lead guitar and also my husband, he came into the fold and started playing lead. And then we found I got my friend from high school to join the band with us, Kevin, and he was essentially the first real part of it, where we were playing shows and writing more regularly and like, you know, going out and doing it. And like, I would say that was at least 10 years ago. But it had started ever so briefly beforehand, with just myself. But yeah, we did do 3 releases last year, and it was because we basically couldn't stop writing stuff after we got done recording the album that we had released. So we were like, well, let's just keep writing music and let's just keep releasing it. We'll put out some EPs or something along the way. And we ended up putting out 3 in total for the year.
That's awesome. Now, you say, so it's been like 10 years since the band started. What's like the metal community like out there?
Oh, they're real cool. It's just, you know, whatever type of genres there are, like
everything like, kind of melds together, right? They all kind of
yeah.
Like
there are like the separate sects of metal for sure that people clump together with, but like everyone seems really cool to like jump from show and genre, like, because it's more just about like going to listen to something cool or like seeing people that you know like getting to do their thing. It's a really cool community out here, like of all music genres, honestly.
Yeah, there was a band that Chris let me listen to, and I bought their vinyl like right away. They were from Buffalo. They were like more of like a psychedelic metal. They were called Stone Priest.
Oh yeah, I know Stone Priest. Those are our buds.
Yeah, like I'm always so like, and that's awesome. And what was the other one? The other one, Space Lord. Space Lord was just like it was like this too. Yeah, it was like this 2-piece. Like they were phenomenal, and like and it's funny because I've talked to now. I didn't like. I think Space Lord. I think they ended right. Yeah. So like I never had a chance to talk to them. I never had a chance to talk to Stone Priest. I don't know if they're still doing stuff, but there was one band called Goodbye Metro, and they're like a 2-piece kind of like over the last like 2 years. I want to say I've come in contact with a lot of these 2-piece bands, and like it works, right? So with the 2-piece, was it what were you like? Was it just like a two basses or?
No, it was when it was a 2-piece. It was just myself on guitar and a drummer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was like real stripped down, and but like I love two-piece bands. I have such a soft spot in my heart for a two-piece band, and it's just because like they always play way harder and they always bring way more energy, and it's because they think like they have to because something's lacking, and like there's nothing lacking there, but I appreciate like the energy that they bring to it. It's just like I always will like pull up a chair and be like, yes, let's watch this two-piece band, let's do it, you know?
Yeah, and the combination, like the combination of instruments, like I was saying, like I've seen it where it's like two bass guitars, you know what I mean, or it's a guitar and a drummer, or you know what, you know, so it's wild to see how much you can do with just something like stripped down like that. And I think if like people, you know, because people want to start bands and stuff, I feel like that's a good option to go with too, you know what I mean? Because if you can produce a sound from just a two-piece band and like get that energy, like you were saying, like I think like you could definitely do like a full band then. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then it's just about finding the personnel, right? Finding the right players and to put them in place and
honestly, even if you can't get to that two-piece level yet, like there's other ways, workarounds if you're just doing it by yourself even. I mean, now there's just so much like at-home recording technology that like you could just be a one-piece band, you know, on your own. Or like a one-person band on your own. But like even before I was like playing with a drummer, I would be going out to like open mics and I would hook up like literally an acoustic guitar through a Big Muff Pi because I knew the sound I wanted. I knew the songs I wanted to play. I knew the vibe I wanted to put out, and I just had to get out there and like play my music, even if it wasn't something I later took into the band. I just had to like get it out there to be heard so that I could find other people who were looking to kind of like make that similar style or something completely different based off of what the chemistry was when we would get together.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I've been exposed to quite a bit of Buffalo bands because of Chris, and like places like Buffalo, places like here in New England, like Chicago, Seattle, like there's just this hub of just like talented artists. And I know there's talented artists everywhere, but like these are like big clusters almost, you know? I mean, I say New England as a whole because we're so small, so many small states put together, but like is it like, I just don't know how to, I don't like when I try to explain it to people, like I can't like, I don't know. And they're not like they're places where people, well, I guess Seattle was a place people would go specifically for music, but like I try to tell people like, you don't have to go to Nashville. You don't have to go to like these places to find it. Like all you got to do is just kind of look around, you know what I mean? So what would you attribute like Buffalo's music, like, and just like the, you know, all the great artists that are there, like what would, like, you know what I mean? Like what do you think that like the common denominator is there or something?
The common denominator itself is like, I think it's twofold. Like one, we're really close to Canada. And so we get a lot of like big acts that will come through when they're like on tour and they'll come down through Canada. So we get to see a lot of really cool bands, to experience really cool things. But also Toronto is like 2 hours from here. New York City is like 6-7 hours from here, depending on where you are driving out of and into. Like, you know, like we aren't like a culturalist hub. Like we definitely are within driving distance of like big spaces, and this is just kind of a place where people like end up going. You know what I mean? Like this is just a place where like, oh yeah, I gotta go check out Buffalo. You know, people will come and they'll catch a show or whatever. And for the actual artists themselves, I feel that they're so compelled to make something because it's like a frozen tundra here most of the year. Like it's miserable and it's cold, and it's very much like Seattle where it's like the weather's just bad. There's not a lot to do. Cool things are like going to a show and seeing people like do their thing. And if you are someone who like connects to music, like it's just the obvious next step that you like pick up an instrument or you start writing lyrics or you try to find, you know, where you can fit within these creative communities and like carve out a little piece for yourself. And I honestly think the weather has a lot to do with it, because like, I don't know, like if I lived in a really sunny, nice place, I don't know if I could write such depressing, horrible lyrics all the time. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. Cause like, you know, it's funny cause I kind of relate that with New England a lot. And cause like a lot of people outside of here think it's like, you know, it's like apple cider and maple syrup and like, you know, like all the foliage in the fall and there's beaches in the summer and there's a lot of rich people. There's a lot of rich people here, but there's a lot of like just working class people here too. That like, I can tell you like when I was in my 20s, like we couldn't afford oil, you know. I remember in 2009 or 2008, like it was, the prices of oil was like almost $5 a gallon. And like, you know, I'm a kid basically. I'm in my 20s and I don't know how to do this. And we're like, you know, we're boiling water to steam up the house for heat and, you know, like doing stuff like, so there's like this other side that a lot of people don't see. And I totally relate to that. And it has to do with the cold weather. It definitely does. Like we're just we're a little rough around the edges. You know what I mean?
And when it's not snowing, it's like raining nonstop and it's like a cold, dank,
cold rain,
nasty rain. And it's
that's
just
today.
Like, enough,
please.
That's
here today. I was outside with my dog. I'm like, can you just take a poop? Like, it's cold out here. It's raining. And the worst part, yesterday was 70. It was like 70 out of nowhere. Yeah. And today's like 36 and raining. I'm like,
we had a week like that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where it was like literally like 69, 70 degrees. And then the next like day or two after, it was like 41 or something. And I'm like, I want to die. Like, why do we live here? Why do we even bother to live here?
Every winter, I'm going to the Caribbean. I'm moving somewhere.
Every winter is my last winter ever in Buffalo, and I've said that for the last, I would think, 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Did you grow up in Buffalo?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did.
Yeah. I grew up in Rhode Island, so it's basically, you know, part of New England. It is part of New England, but like basically, it's just a little less colder than like where I am now. You know what I mean? So I totally get it. I want to talk about like your lyrics are like heavy hitting. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, like it makes you like, it makes it they're agreeing. Like I agree with them, but like at the same time, it makes you really think about things. Cool. I was listening to Impermanence. Did I say that right? The album?
Yeah.
And the Create Space came on.
Okay.
And it like absolutely blew me away. Can we talk about like that song in particular? Because like it's just like, yeah, and again like that had like a really really awesome like grunge to it, if I remember correctly.
It's a very grungy song, yeah.
Yeah, like Alice in Chains type grunge song, and yeah, it was awesome, and it absolutely blew. I heard it today for the first time, and it was this morning. I had to get up to go pick up my grocery orders and all that stuff. Even though I get home from work at 7 a.m., so I got up and it was like 10, and I was like running around doing all these errands before I came home and took a nap. But like, yeah, that song came on, and I was like, I had to like play it again.
Nice.
Yeah, can we talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Create Space is a song about going to therapy. It's about like deciding that like this is as far as I'm going to be able to do this on my own. Like this is enough is enough, and like it's like I can either keep making excuses for myself and for other people and all this, or I could like confront this thing head on and try to like go deal with it like an adult. And like it was a song I wrote like after I'd been in therapy for a while and was like starting to like process things and get them out. And it was like you look back at the way that like your life used to be, or the way that you used to view things before you had like these tools for like dealing with stressful situations. And then like there's also like areas of just like trying to break generational traumas and trying to break yourself of toxic patterns. That is like what I was exploring and going through when writing that song, basically.
I think that's why it hit me so hard, because like I do the same thing. Like I've been in therapy for over 10 years now, close to 10 years now, I think.
Yeah.
I took a little break because I was like traveling, so I didn't, you know what I mean? But whenever I came back to visit, I would make an appointment and drive up to Massachusetts.
Nice.
So, but like, yeah, and again, like the first line is like, I've lost faith in all of humanity. Like, I don't know how many times I've said that. You know what I mean? Like, it's you know how to hook me with these opening lines. But yeah, that song, like, I was like, oh, and it hit me so hard from even like the sound of it, everything about it, like just kind of really stood out to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I mean, a lot of the lyrics seem to be in this headspace, right? In this kind of like like mental health and like trying to deal with this kind of shit. And like, I think I love when bands do that. I think, and I don't think I've ever really noticed it in this like genre, we'll say, you know, like not to pigeonhole you, because you guys are so much more than just like a doom metal band or whatever, you know, but like, I like, do people come up to you about the lyrics at all, or?
Sometimes, it just really depends on if they're hearing me or not.
Yeah.
You know, like I do put them up so people can read them because I do spend a lot of time on them. And, but I have had people like say that they really like, you know, this line from this song, or this is something that they thought was really cool. Like we played a show, and off of Impermanence, there's a song called Orb Weaver. And after we got off the stage, I was in the bathroom and this girl was talking to me about how she loved the lyrics for Orb Weaver because that song is about dealing with grief after my mom died, and how we didn't really have like a great relationship because she struggled with addiction her whole life, and it created a weird strain on our relationship where it's like I still love her, but this isn't a person that like she's not the same person anymore. So, you know, I had a girl like come up to me like, oh, you know, like I really like those lyrics, and like I'm going through the same thing with my mom, and like, can I keep you in my thoughts? And it's just like always keep me in your thoughts for sure. Like you never have to ask about that, but like it's just nice to be able to know that there are other people who've gone through that stuff, because it can feel so isolating, especially when you're like a kid growing up that way, you know. It can feel really isolating to be going through this situation that has such stigma around it. But you know, I'm an adult now, so like I deal with it on my own, but like, you know, this is part of that healing process for sure. It's just putting it through the band.
There's something about that too, like especially when artists who put like, you know, everything out there, when someone who like listens to it or reads it, or, you know, just sees like a painting and like they can relate to that, like it makes it all worth it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
And like this podcast has always been about that. Like the stories that you know, the stories that the guests share with me, like they're getting out there, and people constantly will hit us up and be like, hey, this one here, like this was, you know, it's because like I've lived that isolated life for most of my life, and like because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and it turns out like there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just dealing with this trauma, you know what I mean? And like and I think that's why I got into I went to therapy because when I was a kid I went to a therapist for a while, but like I didn't for many years, and when I went back to it when I was 34 or 35, we're coming up on 10 years. Yeah. So when I went back to therapy when I was 35, like I thought I was going for anger management, and she looked at me after the first session and she's like, there's so much here. And I was like, really? You know? So like it's been a long road, and I think that's helped me get my art out there too. Like writing more and doing the things that I do, and being, if I didn't have I honestly don't think this show would have been a show if it wasn't for that, because like I used to never really talk. You know,
Yeah.
I went to therapy for like, I was there for almost a year and I didn't talk. I just said yes and no. And you know, so like it's been a long road. It's been a long road, and here we are. And like, it's cool to connect with other artists who write the way I kind of write, so like from writing lyrics to music, right? But like, what does it do for you internally? And is it different? Is it different vibes? Like music, like writing a riff. Is it different than writing lyrics for you?
Yeah, definitely. Because when there are a few riffs or songs that we have where it's like I've just like written them and then like brought them there like into practice. Everything's more of like a collaborative effort that we like do together. It's like, let's do a warm-up jam, and then it's like, okay, well, the 4 or 5 different riffs that we played in that warm-up jam could be pieced together to be something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's different for me because the music is us, but the lyrics are me, or me. And like, so I like to sit with the music after we've been playing it for a while, and I'll listen to our practice recordings. I love to do it alone at night when I'm just like by myself. I'm just like kind of go through like, what does this feels like? You know, like how does this song make me feel? And sometimes like while we're doing it down here, like while we're like playing the music, I'll like do some like vocalizations into the microphone, and I can hear that, and it's like maybe I said something really cool but unexpected while I'm shouting, and I'm like, you know, that was a cool line. Like for Bummer Nation, it literally was just, I was so fucking bummed out, just having a really like low point day, and it was about basically everything in the world. And you just get in those head spaces where you can't really pull up out of them. And I was angry about something, like, I don't know, like I dropped something, like, and
it's always something minor that happens that triggers it.
I dropped something, and I was like so angry, and then it got to like where it would loop around, and I just did the fucking like the goddamn like that shit into the microphone. And I was like, that's it. I was like, well, that's a hook for sure. And I was like, and then we titled it as a working title. We called it Bummer Nation just because like we were so bummed out. And then from there, I was like, no, that's going to be what this EP is, because like, what am I bummed about? And then I just sat there and I'm like, I'm bummed about this. I'm bummed about this, and this. And like, when we were writing the songs, I was like, all right, so this song's about how this election fucking sucks and how politicians fucking suck and we're all fucked. And this song's going to be about how AI can go fuck itself. And this song is going to be about like breaking generational traumas. And this one's just going to be about the Amityville Horror because I was watching it at the time. I don't know. We'd called it House of the Double X as like a working title. And it was just going to be the name of the song. And then like a couple nights before the studio, I was watching Amityville Horror, and James Brolin has this double axe that he's just sharpening like a madman through the whole duration of the movie. It's like the biggest foreshadowing that's like so obvious right in your face, and it's like he's going to murder them. Like, get out. Poor Karen Allen.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, that's I mean, it's like for a 4-song EP, there's definitely layers here, and you know, and like, I mean, and then time lengths too. They're not punk songs, you know, so they're decent, like, but like it really makes you like, it just sits with you. Like every song just sits with you, and I think that's awesome. You know what I mean? To be able to do something like that, and like, yeah, like, and like I said, like going through all the other stuff you guys have, like, and I was like, this is a great band. Like, you guys are awesome. And
thank you.
So let's talk about like, do you guys play out at all outside of Buffalo or Western New York? Do you guys ever tour?
I mean, like, that's definitely the goal. Like with this this era of Nine Layers Deep, we've only gone out of town like once or twice, I think. But I'm trying to get something set up right now to where we can go on a couple little weekenders throughout the summer and into the fall and just kind of like expand from there. Definitely want to play some festivals. I've been trying to like get onto those. But like before COVID, like I would say like, you know, a couple years ago, like we were doing more out of town dates more frequently where we would try to go out like every like 4 months or so. And Buffalo is such a good spot, like for touring because like we're like this little hub right here. And then it's like from here, we can get to New England and we can play all the shows, like all the spots up there. We can go right down the East Coast and we can play like New Jersey and New York City and, you know, even down into like down to Virginia as far, you know.
Yeah, like hitting like you can hit like PA and Ohio and come back.
Oh
around,
yeah, and you
back
can
around,
go all the way back up, and it's like it's a really really good spot for that. The only thing is that it just kind of cuts you off from the rest of the country, basically. Like we've never been out west, but I would love to get that way, and like never been down south, but would love to like get over there too. Like it's you know, we'll see what happens, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, is there? I mean, you guys put out 3 albums last year, but is there anything in the works for for 2025? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's. I straight out told him like, I don't care if we put out one song, like there's something a brewing, you know what I mean? And like we're working on stuff, and it's like. Now it's like we're so far past everything being a bummer, you know, like everything fucking sucks, and it's just making more like resistance inside me, I'd say, to want to express myself, especially like when people are basically like people like artists are being told they can't come into the United States, like the UK subs, like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like so I don't know. I think it's going to be a really cool time for music coming forward. Yeah.
Hopefully it does. Hopefully it helps like us get through it, and hopefully we can make a change from it all too, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, we've already got a couple of songs kind of like written. We're just trying to get them polished up to get to the studio in June. So
nice.
We'll see. Hopefully like July or something of this year. If we can get something out, we will.
Yeah. So I want to say with Impermanence, I'm big on like track listing and like how an album flows.
Yeah.
And like the last 3 songs on that album. So it's Orb Weaver, 9 Layers Deep, and then hold on, I don't have my glasses. What is it? Yeah, Arboros. Yeah. Like, when 9 Layers Deep ends, I was almost like out of breath from listening to it, right? And I'm like, that was the perfect ending to this album. And then you hit me with one more song, and I'm like, whoa, like it's awesome, like because like it made it like that much better. You know what I mean? Like having that extra song. Because seriously, like when you could have ended it 9 Layers Deep, and this album would have been like it was already perfect, and then you threw one more song in there. And it was just like, holy shit. And, you know, and it's like almost like a 5-minute track of like, just like, you know, just being angry.
What's interesting too is that we did add one song last minute, but it was the first song on the album.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like, and I wanted to save it for like another album. And Dan was like, our drummer, he was like, I want to record it. Because we'd already recorded it with our other drummer, and we put it up on our Bandcamp and released it before. I've taken them down since then, just because, you know, now it's out, it's mastered up and real nice and everything. But like, he was like, I want to record that with you guys, and I was like, all right. I was like, well, let's play it. And then we played through it, and it was so fucking good. And I was like, all right, let's take it to the studio. Like, so, you know, that's and awesome. So we put it on there. And so it went from 11 to 12, which is fine.
That's awesome. No, it was awesome. It just the way it all broke down and everything. It worked, you know. Let's see. You have a vinyl out, huh? Do you have a vinyl?
Yes, we're running real low, so please nobody order it. We're almost
Fair enough.
out.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that's something too. I like this style of music like really sounds good on vinyl. You know what I mean? Like I we'll so like I haven't heard your stuff on vinyl yet because I didn't realize you had one until just now. But like I know like when I put on like that Stone Priest album. And it was just like, holy shit. Like there's just certain genres of music just sound better on different things, right? Like I feel like new metal was made for CDs. New metal was like I don't want to hear new metal on vinyl. It's not going to sound good. I know it doesn't sound good on cassette because I had it when it came out. You know what I mean? But like no, like when it comes to stuff like this is like I don't think I heard this album yet.
Oh, Sludge Life.
Yeah.
That was our first. That's with our old drummer.
Okay.
That one's just more of us trying to like. That's the come up album, you know, like that's the one where it's like let's just get something out there. It's pretty heavy. It's more doomy. It's still very good. I mean we still play songs from that album itself. But I'm glad that we've gotten to a point to where like we can play more than just those 6 songs.
Hell yeah!
Because we were stuck in a loop for a while. You know,
you have a ton of songs out. I mean, last year was what? That was 20 songs. You put out 20 songs.
20
awesome. That's awesome. Bangers, all bangers too. Do you guys is there any plan for any kind of physical media with the stuff that's came out in the last year or what's coming up next?
I mean, it's literally just about like getting it made and like having it ready. Like I was shopping for labels for a while because like we were looking for, I don't know, a different kind of approach to it. But then once we were just like, you know, let's just put it out ourselves digitally. And then we can always re-release it on physical, physical copies later. So we'll see what we can do. We're trying real hard, but like when you put out 3 in a year,
I know. And what do you pick? How do you pick? You know what I mean?
I know. It's like I don't know which ones, man. Like when do we put out first? But probably Permanence. Yeah.
Right on. Well, Alyssa, this was awesome. Thank you for coming on the podcast and talking with me. If you all make it to New England, please let me know.
Absolutely. We love New England, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I didn't realize, like, I don't know. It was like probably about 5 years ago, I realized how big like Worcester is for metal. Worcester's like a huge metal scene. And then like, there's a band in my hometown. So my hometown, I grew up in this little town in Rhode Island. There wasn't any places really for like original music bands to play because it's on the coast. You know, you have cover bands, and then like anything like in the we'll call it the quote unquote art district is like they want cover bands there, and then on the beach people don't want to go and hear new music. They want to hear, you know, Jimmy Buffett and shit like that. So you got cover bands there. But like there's this like band that's out of my hometown, and I was like, man, these guys are good, and they're like a psychedelic metal kind of band, and I think that's just a 2-piece as well. Actually, they're called Coma Hole, and like
I love Coma Hole.
Yeah,
Erica is such a sweetheart. I love her to death.
Yeah, I need to get them on the podcast.
Definitely.
I feel like coming from the same town should give me a foot in, but so like there's this I didn't realize how like big of a metal scene there is here, and there's a ton of like metal fests out here that again
it's crazy New England is really cool. They've always treated us well, especially Massachusetts. It's like there's always been really cool places to play down in Mass. So
right on. So let me know if you're coming out here, because I live very close to Worcester, so I'm like right on the outskirts of Worcester. So
absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. And listen, when y'all are ready to put out some more music, which should be soon, considering how much music you guys put out, let me know. I'd love to have you back. We can talk about it, you know. And I want to thank you for like, you know, sharing where the lyrics come from and how personal they are to you. Because again, I think that's
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was a blast.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon, and I can't wait to finally catch up with this band. We'll catch up with your band.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Alisa again for being today's guest on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you will find links to 9 Layers Deep. I want to thank Chris Chavez, Aria Rad, and Jeff Bousquet for being part of the Struggling Artist team, producers, creators, whatever they are over here at the Struggling Artist. I much appreciate it. They help me so much with, just getting things out in everything that we do and everything else. And they all have cool things. So check them out on Instagram, right? You can find Aria at coffin_salesman, fantastic band. You can find Chris at 716 The Sound, a fantastic podcast. And you can find Jeff at JRB Image, a fantastic photographer. There you go. Go check them out and support them, follow them, use them, listen to them, talk to them, do all that stuff. I want to thank Mark Lind for being a sponsor of the podcast with State Line Records. Head over to stateline.records.com and see what's going on. I know Mark's been teasing some new music. Hopefully we'll have that soon for everyone to listen to. Hopefully we'll have an episode with Mark soon. I haven't had him on the show in a couple of years now, actually. And you know what? It's well overdue. If you're listening, Mark, he's not listening. Thank you, though, Mark, for being a sponsor of the podcast. Everyone over at Patreon supporting us, I want to thank you so much. If you want to see what's going on over there, head to patreon.com/podcast TSA. I want to thank new member Sky over on the Patreon. Thank you for joining the Patreon. I hope you enjoy everything we have over there. Yeah, go over there. Patreon.com/podcast TSA. I also want to thank the band Losers Circle for allowing us to use their song, The Great Illusion of Time, off of their album, Took Long Enough. There is a link everywhere. Anywhere you see the podcast, whether it's our website, Linktree, I'm pretty sure it's on our Instagram. If not, I will send it to you directly. Go check them out. Pick up their album. It is so good. The band is called Losers Circle. And if you type it in, I think they're the only one that comes up from Boston. So, and they're like the first one that pops up on Bandcamp is where I'm saying. So go make sure you grab that record. Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast, reaches out, texts us, calls us. I don't answer that phone, but the voicemail does. And if you want to leave a voicemail or shoot us a text, 774-570-1552 is the number to use. Again, if you want to text or leave a voicemail for the podcast, the number, 774-570-1552. All right, it's time to get out of here. We have a song to play. This is 9 Layers Deep off of their latest, Bummer Nation. It's the title track, Bummer Nation. Until next week, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you then.
Such a fucking bummer. I wanna bam, but I don't have that kind of cash. Burning out, 'cause I can't take it any longer. Watch it all slipping through the cracks. All time road, they don't care if we live or die. What does it show about how they value human life? What do they know? Sam's got a fun genocide. We reap what they sow. With nothing to them but a dollar sign. God damn, this shit is such a fucking bummer. I wanna